Hello and welcome to our latest episode of the Latter-day Saint Mission Prep podcast. My name is Jimmy Smith. I'm the founder of the Latter-day Saint Mission Prep website and podcast, and I'm pleased to have with me today my daughter Hannah Smith, who is on the call or on the video call with me. Video, if you're watching this on video, podcast, you'll hear the audio. Hannah's my daughter, and she's here today to talk about her decision to serve a mission and the process she's gone through in applying for a mission. She's in the middle of that process right now. Hannah's a freshman at BYU, Brigham Young University. She recently turned 19. She's been working on her mission application with her BYU bishop for the last couple of months. We're recording this in January of 2022. And she has scheduled her final interview with her bishop and stake president, and that'll happen in about a month. And then she'll get her mission papers turned in. So welcome to the podcast, Hannah. Thanks for being with us today. Is there anything else you'd like to say about yourself by way of introduction?
I don't think so. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks for being with me today, Hannah. I appreciate it. All right. So I think what you're going to have to say and what we're going to say to the audience today is going to be interesting and beneficial for a lot of missionaries. The process you've gone through with applying for your mission is can be long and complex, and as I've run the Latter-day Saint Mission Prep website for the past 12 years, that's one of the biggest areas of questions and concerns people have is about this application process. So you're really going to be helping a lot of people by just telling them what you went through, what your experience has been, and so that they can help maybe avoid some pitfalls as they go through this process. So the first thing I want to talk about before we talk about the application process is how you decided to serve a mission. Obviously, in the church, young men have an expectation to serve a mission as part of their priesthood duties. Every church president in my lifetime has said that all worthy and able young men should prepare to serve a mission. And young women have also been invited and welcomed in serving a mission, but there's not that same expectation for young women like yourself. So if you could, let's start out by talking about your desire to serve a mission, why you want to go, what made you decide to serve a mission?
Well, so I guess the main thing that made me decide to want to serve a mission was just I was thinking about it a lot, and I was like, this could be an option for me. And the more I thought about it, I was like, wow, putting aside a whole year and a half to just serving the Lord and serving other people and being able to grow your testimony, I was like, that seems like a really cool opportunity, and it seems like a really good thing. And so that's kind of where I started. There was a point, I think it was during my senior year in high school, there was a girl in our ward that came home from her mission, and she gave her homecoming talk, and they had her give a little fireside after she got home, just telling about her mission experience, and they allowed the youth to ask questions and stuff to her. And I think just a lot of the things she said about going on a mission, I don't know, it just it sounded really exciting to me. Even if it was partially oh wow, that sounds like a really cool adventure, going and just putting yourself out there and teaching the gospel for 18 months. It just sounded like she really enjoyed it, and that it really helped her grow her testimony. And so I was that it was just really inspiring to me to hear all of that. And then also just talking to one of my friends who's preparing to serve a mission, and his reasons why he wanted to go, that really helped me figure it out. And then also prayer and scripture study. But I never had like a really big like moment where I was like, yes, I want to serve. It was just like little things, and I just felt like it was the right thing. Whenever I thought about it, I was like, oh, should I go? I just felt like a good feeling. So, dude, you can't go wrong with good feelings. So.
Well, it sounds like the Spirit of God has moved upon you in many ways. You said it was on your mind a lot, and I think that's a sign of the Spirit. You talked about the good feelings you had, as you've heard other missionaries come home and talk to other missionaries who are preparing to go. It felt good, it felt right, and I think all these things you've said indicate the Spirit of the Lord working upon you. So that's good. I was just, as your parent, like I've personally tried not to like not I didn't want to make it appear that we wanted you to go on a mission. I mean, we do want you to go on a mission, but we didn't want to make it appear like you had to go on a mission because your dad runs a mission prep website. So hopefully that's not the case, because like honestly, until your senior year of high school, I didn't even think you were seriously considering a mission. Like obviously you grew up in the church, you knew it was an option, but we as parents didn't pressure you. So I was kind of surprised at some point in your senior year, you're all of a sudden talking about a mission. It was a pleasant surprise, and we're glad to hear it. Anyway, it does sound like you've been trying to follow the Spirit, which is, I feel like, exactly what all of us should be doing.
Yeah. I also want to add, just because it came to my mind, before I came to BYU, I was like, I want to like decide if I want to go on a mission before I come to BYU, because I was like, I think once I get up there, the people I meet like and talk to and become friends with, I like know how influential that can be. So I wanted to like decide for myself without any like extra influence before I came up here. And it actually like worked out pretty well, because like I decided I want to go, and then I've been able to meet like a lot of my roommates like decide to serve missions too, and so it's been really cool like talk to them, and then talk to people who've come home from their missions, and like just every time they talk about it, it's like they get so hyped and excited, and then like I think about it and I get so excited. I'm like, it just is the coolest thing to serve a mission. So
it is cool, and you're gonna love it. It's hard too. Obviously, missions are hard work, and they're difficult, and they can be trying, spiritually, physically, emotionally, you name it. They're not easy, but I intellectually look back on my mission, which was 25 years ago now, and I remember that there were those hard times, but I really have to kind of think about it to remember those hard times. You've heard me talk about my mission. I loved it, and most of the feelings and remembrances I have from my mission is nothing but positive and good. So anyway, you're going to have a great experience. All right. Let's move on. Let's see what my next question is. So what have you done to prepare yourself for a mission?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is like trying to change my mindset. I've been trying to like do better at my daily prayers and like scripture study, just because I know that's like a really important thing. I mean, just in general, but like on a mission, that's like a huge thing. Like you have hours of study every day, and like being in tune with the Spirit is really important. So I've been trying to, I guess, do better at that.
Right. So scripture study and prayer. You've also, when you're senior in high school here in our local stake in Texas, you took a class.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think helped you, right?
Yeah, so I took a class, they called it Hope of Israel. It was basically like mission and college prep combined, like our stake just offered it. But yeah, that was kind of helpful to, I don't know, just I guess get more like perspective from other people on like what serving a mission entails, and like kind of it was more of like the physical preparations. I felt like for a lot of it, they did talk about like the spiritual side too, but like just like preparing to live on your own, I think was a big part of that preparation. Right. And I guess in that case, then part of my preparation to serve mission was coming to college, because I was like, well, I guess if I can live on my own at college, then I can do it on mission. So
yeah, I think that's a big deal, is having a long-term away from home experience, but not like a year and a half or 2 years of a mission, like a college experience or some other kind of a few months away from home. Is great experience just for learning to live on your own, because if going on a mission is the first time in your life you've lived away from home, away from mom and dad for a long period of time, that adjustment can be a lot harder.
Yeah.
So you did the Hope of Israel class, which was kind of mission prep in our stake as well. You and I and your other brother Abe, the younger brother Abe, went through the church's mission prep course. It was like 15 lessons, so I know you've done that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you sign up for a mission prep class through BYU or through your BYU ward or stake?
Yes, so I signed up through BYU, so it's like one of my classes. It's missionary prep, so I just started that. The start of the semester was like 3 days ago. So yeah, so I think it's going to be a really good class, though. It seems like they really focus on like reading like Preach My Gospel and like working through that, and then we also like are required to do like a Book of Mormon like journal, and we're supposed to read it like 30 minutes every day, and like report back on that. So I think that'll be good preparation, even if like people listening, if you don't have the opportunity to do that. I think reading Preach My Gospel and like getting familiar with it, and then like getting in a better habit of like scripture study, I think that's going to be really beneficial, just because that's something I wanted to do anyways, and so it's kind of nice that I have a class that I have to do it for.
And you get credit for college credit.
Yeah, and I get credit. I get religion credit. So there you go. But yeah, I'm super excited for that class.
Cool. So you're hoping to leave on your mission this summer. So like I said, we're recording this January of 2022. You're hoping in early February to submit your mission papers, and you hope you get your call to go this summer, June is your hope.
Yeah.
We know summer's a busy time for a lot of people wanting to go on their mission. So
yeah.
So what are you going to do over the next 4, 5, 6 months until you go to continue to prepare for your mission? Anything else? I mean, I guess the things you talked about, you're going to take your BYU class. You'll keep, scripture study and prayer. Anything else?
I'm planning on taking temple prep from my stake, because you have to go to the temple and get your endowments out before you go on a mission. So yeah, I guess that's one thing, is I'm taking temple prep, and I'm trying to like do a bit of study on my own to prepare to go to the temple. And then I'm hoping once I do that I'll be able to go to the temple a couple times up here before I leave on my mission. So I think that'll be good preparation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it was Elder Bednar who said that we should make going to the temple and receiving your own endowment there as big a highlight as your mission or mission call, because obviously the temple is so important for your eternal covenants and eternal life and salvation. Cool. Let's see. What would your advice be to other young women who aren't sure if they should go on a mission or not. Any thoughts on that subject? Because I know there's a lot of young women out there who, they don't have to go, but they can go, and they're not sure if they should. Any thoughts of what they should consider in making that decision?
Oh man, I'm trying to think of like what I've told some of my roommates, because my like roommate, she's pretty young. Like she still almost has like another year before she could leave on a mission. But anyway, so she's like been, trying to think about if she wants to serve a mission or not. And I think what can be hard is like there can feel like there's a lot of peer pressure, depending on like who you're surrounded by. I think for her it's been a little more pressure because like almost all of like our roommates last semester, like all but her were like pretty like set on going on a mission. And so I think it was hard because like people would like come up to us and be like, hey, like, are you like, oh, you have your mission call and you put in your papers? And then I'd be like, yeah, and I'm like planning on putting in my papers. And then they'd like get to her and they'd be like, oh, like, are you going on a mission? She's like, I don't know yet. And I think it like seems like a lot of pressure to go.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it could be the other way around too. Like if you just had a bunch of friends that weren't going and you like wanted to, then that could seem like kind of weird. Because maybe you would feel like you're missing out on something. I think either way, there's like this sort of like fear of missing out, which I think is a big thing for my generation, especially. We all have this kind of like fear of missing out on something, which is actually something I've been thinking about, but that's in a different conversation. Anyways, so I guess my advice would be try not to let like peer pressure, like what other people are doing, like super affect you. I think like for me, that was doing like the way for me to do that was to decide before I came to BYU, because I knew there would be that pressure. So I guess just thinking about like maybe what your goals are in life, like your long-term goals. And then when you're like thinking about a mission, maybe like reading, your scriptures, like think about like other missionaries. Think like, is that something that is going to help me like reach my goals in life? And I think also like reading your patriarchal blessing. I know like my patriarchal blessing doesn't say you will go on a mission, but like there's part of it that I like kind of interpreted as like, I mean, for me, like I interpreted it this way. I was like, it said that like you have the potential to be a really good teacher. And so for me, I was like, I know there's like so many ways that can apply, but I was like, oh, well, if that means that maybe I could be like a good missionary, like a really good missionary, then like, why would I not at least like go out and try doing that? And throughout my life, I'm sure I'll try other ways of applying that. But yeah, so I think studying like on your own time, trying to ignore peer pressure, and just like listen to the Spirit, thinking about like your long-term goals and if it'll help you meet it, and then like reading your patriarchal blessing.
Yeah, great. No, that's all wonderful. Thanks for remembering about your patriarchal blessing. So yeah, for those young women out there who are thinking about it, if you haven't had your patriarchal blessing yet, go talk to your bishop and see about getting your patriarchal blessing. Is that something that can certainly help you in deciding your course in life and whether a mission is in that or not. Cool. So, okay, now let's transition to some of the steps and processes you've gone through for applying for a mission. Again, we are talking to Hannah Smith. She's a young woman preparing to go on a mission. She happens to be my daughter. I'm Jimmy Smith. I'm the host of the Latter-day Saint Mission Prep podcast and website. And so, Hannah, you, like I said at the beginning, have been working with your BYU bishop, and you've been on the church's website, and you've been going through the application process. So let's talk about that. So once you decided that you wanted to apply for a mission, one of the first things you had to consider was when you would go, right? We talked about that a little, but you could have decided to go before college, or you could have gone after your first semester. You've decided to try and go after your first 2 semesters, after your first year at college. So what factors did you consider, and how did you figure out when you wanted to go on your mission?
I think a big factor for me was, I guess in the summer I was thinking a lot about like, or I guess I'm trying to think, because I had to decide before that. I guess one thing that I was really thinking about was leaving home, like how going to college versus going on a mission, like right out of high school. I was like kind of like weighing which would be like a harder transition for me. And for me, the thought of like leaving all my friends, like leaving my family, was like really, really difficult. And so the more I thought about it, I was like, I can't imagine like going from, hanging out with my friends all the time and like texting them all the time and like, having social media, like being able to talk to them. I couldn't imagine like going from that to like immediately going to like being on a mission and like only, being able to email anyone except my family. And so I was like, oh, well, I think it'd be a better transition, at least away from like my home friends, to be able to go to college. And like, it was like, it seems like a slower transition, like away from them. I guess I kind of like, I don't know if that really was super beneficial, because now I have new friends and like, it's still going to be hard to leave them. But like, at least I know like that I'm able to make that transition.
Mm-hmm.
Because like a lot of my friends that I thought I was going to keep in touch with from high school, like I really like didn't keep in touch with. And like, it makes me like a little sad, but it's been okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, yeah, for me, just like thinking about what the transition was going to be like was a big deal. And I thought that like college was going to be better for me to start with that. And then the reason that I did decide to take 2 semesters before going instead of just one was like, I felt like your freshman year in college is like something that's like kind of special, like you can't really replicate. And so I wanted to get the full like experience of having a freshman year before I went out. Because like once you get back from a mission, like if you've already been to college, it's a little different, because it's not like you have like freshman orientation and all that, and like they expect you like, oh yeah, you've already like had classes, you already know what's going on. So I just wanted to like, I wanted to get the full freshman experience, and I'm really glad that I did, because of one semester, like it seemed so short. I can't imagine just like leaving right after that. So
yeah, well, I was going to ask you about that, because as your parents, we encouraged you to go your whole freshman year, both fall semester and winter, and for similar reasons that you've expressed. So I was just curious if you thought that was a good idea. It sounds like you do.
Yeah. Oh shoot, I had a thought. I forget.
It'll come back to you.
Oh, I something else though. I think like partway through my first semester, I was like, I reached like kind of a point where I was like kind of hard. Like my classes were hard, and like there were a couple like social things that were going on that were difficult, and I just kind of was like, dang, like it would be so much easier just to like hurry and finish my papers and like go right now, like after this semester.
Mm-hmm.
But then like the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, well like this might just be like a rough spot though. Like you wanted to do 2 semesters, like just do it. Yeah. So I ended up, just doing that. But for a second I was like, it might just be easier, but admission's not necessarily easier than college. I'm sure it's actually harder. So I don't know what my logic was there.
Yeah. Well, and I think maybe we mentioned this earlier. Several of your first semester BYU roommates are leaving on their missions. So you're in an apartment with 6 girls, and 3 of the 6 got their mission call a month or so ago, and are leaving on their missions within the next month or so. So obviously, I mean that's a fine route if you want to take it.
Yeah.
And a lot
No,
of people,
definitely. Yeah. But I just knew for me that was not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad I stuck with it.
Well,
But
good.
it's all about just like following the Spirit and like whatever personal revelation you've received. So.
Right. Well, and the reason why we're talking about this is because it's important to know when you want to leave on your mission, because you take that's that date you want to leave on your mission in the church mission application process. They call that your availability date. And so when you're planning your meetings with your bishop and your doctor's visits and all the things for the application, all the timing is dependent on your availability date. So that's why we talk about when you want to go first. So you decided you wanted to leave the first part of June. That's your availability date. So you want to leave the 1st of June, but you went ahead and talked to your bishop probably in October. How many months in advance is that? That's like 8 or 9 months in advance of you going. You went and talked to your bishop, right?
Yeah.
To get things started.
Yeah. And
which I
did
think
that
is what most people will need to do. Oh, go ahead.
Honestly, I think I definitely like could have opened them much later, like started doing my papers much later. But I wanted to do my like dentist and doctor's appointments at home, and I also wanted to like just be able to like be looking at the papers. And I was like, I figure like if I have them open and like I'm working on them, like it'll just like get me more excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I opened them so early. But yeah, it worked out because like over the 2 like Thanksgiving and Christmas break, I was able to get some stuff done at home. So it ended up working out that I did them so early. I definitely don't think you have to open them that early, but definitely, I mean, it does take some time to do all your appointments and stuff. So
right. I mean, yeah, you may have done it a little early, but not a lot early. So talk about that process of getting started. Your first meeting with your bishop and him enabling the online mission application system, enabling you to go in. Talk about that a little.
Well, so first of all, before I met with my bishop, I like had to schedule to meet with him. And so I just talked to the executive secretary in our ward. We have a couple actually because of our ward. But so I just talked to one of them and I was like, hey, like I'm wanting to like open up my mission papers. Can I like schedule to meet with the bishop? He was like, yeah, sure. And then we just set a time. So I went in and did that with him. Pretty much like what he talked to me about during that, like it's kind of like an interview, and it's kind of like he's just telling you some stuff. Like my bishop asked me like why I wanted to serve a mission and like what I think like the hardest part of serving a mission is going to be, and like the best part and stuff like that. And then he asked me like about like I guess my like physical and mental health, just like kind of determining if it's a good idea, if it will work for me to go on a mission. So we talked about that. And then my bishop was super awesome. He wrote up this whole like I guess like packet of information that he emailed me that had like the missionary portal website and just kind of like the steps to take after you open up your papers.
Yeah,
so that was
let's
nice.
mention what that address is. So Hannah, you mentioned the missionary portal. The address is missionary.churchofjesuschrist.org. So that's missionary portal. Anybody can go there. Parents, leaders, youth, anybody can go to that missionary portal. I think it has some information about preparing for missionary service and so forth. But after you talk to the bishop, he enabled a link that you're not going to see unless you're a youth preparing to go on a mission and your bishop has enabled you, and that's
Yeah.
he enabled the online recommendation system. Like if I was to go to the missionary portal today, I would not see that there's a big button that says apply for missionary service. But
Yeah.
after you talk to your bishop, he went into his bishop systems and he basically enabled that for you, so that when you went back to the missionary portal, you could see this big button that says apply to serve a mission, which if you click on that, took you to the online recommendation system, which you can go to directly. I'll mention what that address is as well to help people out. It's missionaryrecommendations.churchofjesuschrist.org, but only people like yourself, Hannah, missionaries that are applying can get to that online recommendation system.
Yeah.
So you talked to the bishop. You guys talked about physical and spiritual worthiness and abilities to serve, and he was very supportive and gave you even a packet of information to help you as you prepared to go on a mission. He enabled the online recommendation system. So what were some of the next steps you took after that meeting with the bishop?
After that, I just went in and filled in as much information as I could on the thing. I guess are we going to talk about the specific sections? Do you want me to like talk about it overall first?
Yeah, I don't think we need to go into a lot of detail, but do mention, at a high level, the things that you filled out.
Okay.
I know it asks for like personal information, and obviously there's health stuff as well, but yeah, just at a high level, maybe go over some of the things that you're going to have to fill out. When you said you went in to the online recommendation system and filled out as much as you could, what were the types of things you filled out?
So it was things like, personal information. They ask about your education, like if you did seminary, how many years you did it, where you went to high school, if you've done any college. They asked me about like my work experience. So I told them like the places I'd worked and how long I worked there. They ask about like the financial side. So they ask like how much you're going to be able to put in every month and like who's going to be putting in money. So it's like $400 a month. So you just have to say who's putting what in. They ask health insurance. I had to look at like the insurance card and stuff for that. And then, they ask you like general questions about your health. And then you also have to get a dental evaluation and like a physical evaluation. So I like scheduled those and I did them at home. And I'm trying to think what else. You have to like put in your driver's license if you have one. Mm-hmm. So I just like scan that in. Yeah.
And you have to upload a photo, which you haven't done yet, of yourself looking like a missionary.
Yeah.
You've done almost everything except that.
It's like from here up,
mm-hmm.
like your shoulders are showing, like straightforward, plain background, missionary attire.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like a passport photo.
Yeah.
But
except you get a smile, so.
And they also asked in the information you filled out about like your family history in terms of where your ancestors were from, and they asked about language learning and what your desire was. Talk about that.
So yeah, they asked about like my top, I guess, like heritage or something. I don't know. Or I guess ancestry. Yeah, that's the word they use. So I just put kind of from like my biggest like percentage to like a smaller percentage. I listed a bunch. I'm looking right now. I listed like English, Norwegian, Scottish, Swiss, Swedish, Irish, Danish, Canadian. So I'm guessing you don't have to list that many, but I've heard that like surprisingly that is one of the like parts that they like look at a lot when determining where you're going. Like this might just be a coincidence. One of my roommates who already has her call, she has a lot of like German ancestry and she's going to Germany. So I don't know like how big of a factor it is, but I know it's something they do look at. And then for language, what did they ask? Let's see.
They ask like your desire to learn a language, like high, medium, low, or something like that.
Yeah, they do. So they ask two things. They say, what is like your willingness, or I guess not willingness. It's like, oh no, what is like your interest in learning a language on a scale of 1 to 5? And then they ask like, what is your ability to learn a language well on a scale of 1 to 5? And so I was like, well, I'll be able to learn a language just fine because I did in high school. So like I put a 5. And then I also was like, oh, I really want to learn a language. And I put a 5. I think that is definitely something they look at because my roommates who have got their calls, they put like a higher, like a 4 or a 5 on like interest. And I think they all put 5 on ability. And they're all speaking, one of them speaking Russian, one's learning Mandarin, and one's learning German. So I think if you put that, you'll probably learn a language. So that's pretty cool. Also, I just noticed they ask about like where you have relatives that have served missions.
Oh, right.
So I put in like where you served your mission and like my grandparents, their missions, and like your parents served a senior mission. So I put that. And they also ask like if you have any siblings or a boyfriend or girlfriend who are currently serving, so that they won't put you in the same place. So anyways, also related to like, I guess like kind of location, they ask like where you've lived recently, like the most recent places you've lived, or if you've lived somewhere for an extended period of time.
Oh, right.
So I put Texas and Utah because like I've lived there, both of those places pretty long. So yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, I don't think we need to go in a lot of detail about the dental and medical stuff, but you were home. Texas is our home. You're at BYU in Utah now, but you were home for Christmas for a couple of weeks, and you had your wisdom teeth out, and you also had your medical physician form. Anything to say about those?
Probably just you don't have to have your wisdom teeth out. I just knew that like the dentist had recommended it. And like you don't want it causing any issues while you're on your mission, especially if you're like out of the country. So I was like, well, I may as well just get them out now if I'm gonna have to get them out eventually.
Right.
And then I think the physician, it's just like a pretty much a regular physical. I got my blood drawn. It's pretty chill. So
cool. And I guess I should also say the church is looking for any red flags that they needed to take into account when they're doing the mission call. If you had a physical or mental health issue, they might take that into account. I'm not talking about you, Hannah, but anyone in general. Your health is pretty good, thankfully. But anyway, the church wants to know your medical history and any medical conditions, just so that can be taken into account when determining where you'll serve a mission.
Yeah. Can I add something to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So two things. Hopefully I remember both. One is dang it, I already forgot the one. Okay, anyways.
Go to the other one.
The other one is that when you're filling out just like on your own thing on the website, not like during the physical, it asks you to like check if you've ever had like certain conditions, and like same with like mental health stuff. So it'll be like, have you had a heart condition or diabetes or anxiety or depression? And like it lists all these things, and I wasn't sure for a couple of them what to put because I didn't have like a doctor's diagnosis, but I was like, I think I like may have had symptoms for this. This is for like mental health stuff. This is just because I'm sure people have questions about this.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just say I like have like had some like experience with like anxiety and stuff, but I've never been to a doctor about it. It's nothing like major crazy, but not that it's bad if it is. But anyways, I just wasn't like sure what to put. because I'm like, I don't think that's going to impact me while I'm on my mission, really. And it's not going to like impact my ability to serve, I don't think.
Right.
So, but the way that they word it on the application is like, have you been to a doctor or had like symptoms,
Right.
like in the past or present? And so I was like, not sure what to put, because I was like, well, I guess I've like had symptoms, but I've never been to a doctor. But when I asked my bishop about it, he was like, yeah, if you haven't been diagnosed by a doctor, don't put it on there, because, and I talked to you about this yesterday,
Right.
that will just like, I guess what you were saying was, if you had indicated that you had anxiety, but it's like minor and you've never been to a doctor about it, then when they're overviewing your forms after you submit them, then that's kind of like a red flag to see for them. They're, because they don't know how major your anxiety is. They go, oh, yeah, she puts that she has anxiety, but she's never been to a doctor. Like, that's kind of bad. And then I guess what you were saying was that can really slow down like the process of getting your call. So I would just be like, I mean, like, obviously you want to be honest.
Right.
And if it's like a legitimate concern or condition, like, you definitely want to put it down, just because like, if it's really going to impact you and your service, like, even if it's like a physical thing or a mental thing, like, you want to put it. But yeah, like, for me, it was something that I don't need to put.
Right.
I think, just was wondering if I needed to. What should I tell?
Right. No, and I think there's some subjectivity there. There's a judgment call, and that's why you asked your bishop and asked your parents what they thought, and we both, your bishop and I as your father, thought there's really no need to put anything there, because when the church receives your mission application, they have a team of doctors there at church headquarters, and they're going to review the medical forms. And so if they see things that are a concern, medically speaking, it could delay your mission call. So the people watching and listening just need to be aware of that. So so that takes us basically to where we are today in your mission application. You've filled everything out. You've gotten all your doctor stuff done, and you set an appointment to have a final interview with your bishop and your stake president the first part of February, because your availability date is the first part of June, and the church has a 120-day rule. You can't submit your mission application more than 120 days before your availability date, and so that's what you're planning to do. You'll talk to your bishop and stake president in early February, and then the stake actually will submit your papers to church headquarters right around 120 days before your availability date. So that's where we are with you. We'll probably do a follow-up podcast and video after you get your call to talk about the call packet and anything we've missed here. I'm just trying to think, is there anything else we need to talk about before we wrap things up? Any major parts of the application process? Anything we should have talked about up till this point you're at now in your mission application process? Anything we've missed that we need to talk about?
Not that I can really think of.
Oh,
I think that's everything.
One thing I just remembered was, when you turn in your papers, your application to go on a mission, a full-time mission, you there's probably a checkbox. I don't know. We can confirm this maybe next time, where you say, I'm willing to go wherever the prophet sends me. I don't know if there's a literal checkbox for that, but it's definitely kind of part of the church culture, and just kind of understood that you're going to be assigned to a mission by prophecy and revelation, and that you're willing to go wherever the Lord sends you. Any thoughts on that?
I'm trying to think. I'm looking right now, actually, because they have like a privacy agreement, so you have to sign. So I'm like curious if it is in there. I don't think it is, but I mean, that is.
But the concept in general
obviously
of going
something. Yeah.
The Lord could send you to Utah or Mongolia, Argentina. It's a good place, I think, to serve a mission. Anywhere in the world, go to Europe. What do you think about just going where the Lord calls you to go?
Well, I actually think that's something you need to consider when you're deciding if you want to go on a mission.
Right.
Is like, oh, am I willing to go wherever? Because that's something I've noticed, like when I'm talking to my friends of other religions about serving a mission for our church, that's like a pretty big difference to them and how they do missions. Other churches will do missions. They'll be like a month or it could be a couple weeks, a month, a couple months. But they get to like pick where they go generally from what I've gathered. And so whenever I tell people I'm like working on my paperwork and they're like, oh, that's so cool. Like, where are you going? Right now I don't know where I'm going. And I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. They're like, oh, you don't get a pick? I'm like, no, like it's by like revelation from the Spirit where the apostles decide for me to go, which, I mean, I worded it a little differently for people that don't know the terminology, but I think that's like such a crazy concept to them that they'd be like, you would put a year and a half of your life like in the hands of the Lord, just like you're gonna trust him to like, I mean, he could send you somewhere like super sketchy. I mean, obviously like they take care of missionaries and make sure they're safe. I don't know where I was going with that, but I think that was something I definitely have been thinking about a lot more, especially like the closer I get to turning in my papers. I'm like, I really am like gonna have to just go wherever they tell me to go. I'm like, and that could be, it could be Utah, it could be Alabama, it could be, I have a friend in Ghana. Like, I mean, I don't know if they send like girls to Ghana, but like it could be anywhere. And so I think just having like an open mind and like for me right now, I'm not thinking too much about like I'm trying not to speculate too much about where I could go, because I think there's no point until I know where I'm going, and then at that point I can prepare myself more specifically for that. But anyways,
I think it is, as you indicated, a real demonstration of faith in your priesthood leaders and in your faith in general. To you said it really well, to be willing to go wherever the servants of the Lord would send you for a year and a half of your life, and I think that is very commendable. I think it shows your faith and your testimony, and as your father and friend, and I couldn't be more proud of you. And I say friend of the Mormon Mission Prep community, because we really appreciate all your contributions. I think this has been a great conversation. And I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. I know you're busy with classes and stuff, so I appreciate your time. I love you and admire you. I know you're going to have a great time on your mission. It's going to be hard at times, but you're going to grow and develop in ways you can't even imagine now. You're going to have a great experience. You're going to meet great people. You're going to help serve the Lord and serve your fellow beings, and you're going to build the kingdom of God, and you're going to be blessed for it, and you're going to bless others eternally by being a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And anyway, I know that's true, and again, thank you, Hannah. And anything you want to say before we end?
I don't think so.
You don't
Just follow the Spirit, guys.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Hannah.